Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. So I saw on the news that these tarantulas were going to be going through this month. So this actually makes the second one I've seen. This watermelon was not very good. It was overripe, but the butterflies are seeming to enjoy it a lot more than we did. And I noticed that a monarch came by. I've seen a few of them lately. And our unusually cool and wonderful weather lasted a while. It was maybe 2 weeks of it, but as you can see, the heat is back on again. So we always have a little of that in the spring where it can't quite make up its mind, and then in the fall when it goes from the heat to the nicer weather. I'm tired of the heat. I just don't do well in the heat at all, and it's getting me down. But it couldn't have came at a better time, because it got us past the worst part of the August heat, the end of August, and now we're in September, and we have hope for, in about a week, we have hope for another little cool down. I don't know if you remember, or if you even saw the time when I told you that I planted a giant bulb of an elephant ear over here, and I assumed that it must have, with our nice rains that we had this year, it must have just rotted in the ground. But look at this. It's kind of a strange little thing. After all that time, it's trying to come up, and it's really very tiny, and I assumed it would be, giant with that big old bulb, but I don't know. It's quite a phenomenon that it didn't make it, and I thought it was gone, and now once I gave it up, there it is. The pretty little thundercloud sedum is blooming right now. Here's more of it right here. Isn't it so pretty when it blooms? And even when it's not, it has a pretty little green mound shape, and I enjoy it then. But of course, this is its glory, when it totally just opens up in those pretty little blooms. And where I cut back the alyssum, it's charged itself and is looking good again. Even this little white alyssum is looking pretty. And I just noticed that my double impatiens are blooming. They look like little roses without thorns. And we have, this is some sedum too. And then this is more of the thundercloud sedum, and you can see that it's putting on its little white tufts. And I have not yet taken in any of my houseplants, but I will plan on doing this before the end of September. And I haven't heard anything about any temperatures going below 50 at night yet. But when it happens, sometimes it happens quickly. So I know I need to go ahead and get some of this started at some point. And I do think this little pot is beginning to shapen up and look pretty good. My husband and I came out and pretty much scalped this little ligustrum, but it was getting so far out that I couldn't hardly get around this little corner because it was just all out here in front of it and all around the side. So it actually looks better to me now. Sometimes I think maybe I don't want to keep this little tree, but then again, it is lovely. And it hasn't really been that much of a problem. It has definitely needed trimmed back some. But now that it is, I think it can last for quite a bit longer maybe. And I'm still finding surprises in the garden. I showed this to my daughter the other day, but this little one was just about this tall. And now look at it. Oh my goodness, it's almost grown close to 10 inches. It's just lovely. And I'm still enjoying the bougainvillea. I love this. I love the bright, pretty color. And I love it that it did go ahead and open up some pretty bloom for me. It's another plant that I'll have to take in before too long too, though, and I will definitely have to trim some of it down before I take it inside. Not really looking forward to that. I hate to take them down to downsize them, but that helps me be able to keep them through the winter, so that's worth it. And I'm thinking that this little pot may be getting too much shade. It might need some sun so that these little plants can go ahead and fill out and do their best. Hopefully get big enough to make seed and put down me some more for next year. Look at these bright red zinnias, so pretty. And along with this alba sedum, there's some thundercloud sedum in here that's putting on its little white tusk. Some of it is just still budding out and hasn't actually opened into its flower yet. Look at this lovely Mexican sunflower. I just love this bright orange, and today I saw a hummingbird on this, but of course I didn't have my camera, so I didn't get that for you, but I'll keep trying. Maybe he'll come back one day and I'll be out here and be stealthy enough that he won't notice me. And I'm not very good at starting roses or clematis from just from a cutting or from even a root. If I could ever find one that put up an actual root, I think I could get that one to take off and go, but I just don't have any luck with that. But I would like for my sister to have some of these also. Roses anyway, and this one is a lovely rose, and it's called Zephrindon, and it's just a beautiful little form of rose. It smells pretty, and it keeps going through. It blooms the most, of course, in the early spring, but then it just keeps right on going, and you keep getting a few beautiful little roses all through the season. Now I'm hoping that my little plants that I divided are still going to do well, because when I did this, it was cool, it was nice, and they did seem like they would, but I knew that could change, and of course it has, but it has not gotten back as hot as it was, although we did reach 100 today, so it's really too hot for dividing and transplanting. But if they will hold on and just keep their little root and go ahead and put it down where I want them to be, then it'll work on that root until the ground freezes, and then when it comes back up, it'll come back up in my in the people's yards that I'm giving them to, and it'll already have its little root established there, so it won't have to go through another transplant period. And this is another little thundercloud sedum. This is where a couple of cardinals brought up a little family this year. You can see all that on the leaving the nest post just a few months earlier. But you can tell it's beginning to open up its bloom too. They're mostly just buds right now, but they'll soon be all the way open. And it does give them just another totally different look. I love it when the sedums bloom. Those beautiful big tufts. And so do all the pollinators. They come for the sedum. And my aster is really filled out in bloom now. I definitely want to get some of this for my sister. But I'll probably wait and bring it to her in the spring, since I've learned that they do better in the spring when they're transplanted in the spring. My little bougainvillea is still trying to put on some bloom. I should have had it down here sooner because it gets a little more sun here, and I think that's what it needed. And I may have to try this again another time because I'm getting pretty much ate up from mosquitoes, and I hate that because they always whelp up so much on me and have big old huge marks that just keep growing and growing from where I scratch them. Look at this lovely little clump of zinnias. And then here's the elephant ears that I got just a tiny little bulb of, and they look big and pretty right now. But it won't be long that I'll need to dig these up too, as well as my pretty black caladium elephant ears. But I'm glad I found this one again, and hopefully I can keep it for a good long time. I had to pan over to the butterfly, of course. I also noticed that where the crepe myrtles had almost totally gone away, and then after we had that 4 inches of rain and the cooler days, they just kind of opened up again and began to look pretty. And this is more of the little thundercloud sedum. For a small pot, it just can't be beat. And then you get this extra glory when it blooms in the fall, or just before fall. And this is another. And also it's surrounded by some of the pretty red strawberry fields. Today is September the 13th, and I'm going to try this again because there's a little bit of overcast to the skies, and also it has been sunny, so we'll see what we get. But hopefully they'll be a little better than the ones I tried yesterday. Well, I think the sun is winning out over the overcast sky, so the overcast makes for better pictures usually. Sometimes you can get the sun just right on something and it looks great, but lots of times you're just going to get dark spots and light spots depending on whether you're getting the shade or the sun. And I've already pointed out the thundercloud sedums that are beginning their pretty white bloom, and that you can put these in small little places, and they still look great. Let's see if I can get up to this one from here. I may have to go over there. Right here. This is one of the crepe myrtles that lost all of its color practically. It had a little there, but after we got our rains, it just opened back up in beautiful bloom. I think it's prettier now than it was earlier in the season. Another of the little thundercloud sedum. So a little bit of cloud cover came on, and I rushed out here to get these while they were still in the shade, and you can probably tell they are no longer in the shade. But I wanted to try to get these anyway. I don't know if they will be as dark as they really are, because this is a rose called Ebb Tide, and when I ordered it, it said the pictures just don't do the color justice, and that has proven true. If you get these when they're really deep, dark, somewhere between a fuchsia and a purple, they are just a lovely color. And for a small little plant in small little pots, because sometimes you just want those decorative things. This is an old one. It's rusted, and even the paint where I repainted it and made it look good, it needs to be redone again, but there's nothing going to help that rust, I don't suppose, except just to actually enjoy it. But this little purslane moss is a little plant that is pretty mighty. This one is the double blooms, and then the other two, the bright coral pink and the pretty bright yellow. And while not filled out the way I was expecting them, and in my mind's eye they were, but while they're not, they are still beautiful. These beautiful coral verbena. And this coming week we have totally every day filled up with things I need to do, but it will not be long before I start bringing in the house plants. I'm actually wanting to put up an antenna, and I want to get that done before I bring the house plants in, if that's possible. I don't know if this is a good time to transplant something or not, but I think I will try. I think we'll go ahead and clip this off and try to get it started right here. So there we go. I put a little rooting powder on it, and I just put it right here in the front part of this little pot. And this little pot is another one that has totally filled out this summer for me. It did not fare well in my house, which my houseplants rarely do, and it was looking pretty bad when I brought it out, but it's looking great right now. I hope I'll be able to save this through the winter. This is one of the prettiest little bright coleus that I found, and it actually would be great as a bow. You know, when you put an assortment of flowers together and you just want one big beautiful lone flower to act as a bow, this would be great. And another thing that I really like to use for that are the ornamental cabbages. They just are perfect for that. And my little coleus that I put in this pot is still trying. It hasn't done much, but it's still looking like it's wanting to. And if it would fill out, I think it'd still be a beauty to go right along with the little orangey begonia in this pot with the pretty blue cast licorice plant that trails and trails and trails and just looks so lovely. And I'm noticing that this little pot does get the sunlight earlier in the day, so that's great. I won't have to move it. I was beginning to think I needed to move it so it could get enough sunlight for these to make some pretty flower and some seed for next year. And this little sedum bloomed for me enough that I can tell it's going to be a bright, more of a purplish color, and I think I'm going to really like it to be another one I'll probably put in several different pots around the area so that I can have sedum in most all of my pots. This one is one of my rose moss, which is, it's gone to seed, and I don't know if it'll do anything more for the fall, but we'll see. It could, but hopefully at least it'll be there for next spring. And this is the pretty red sedum, or salvia. This is the salvia. And I noticed that my little fairy rose bloomed a little bit. I love this little Rex begonia too, and I'm sure I've told you before, maybe even on the beginning of this post, but it is so lovely. I love the color, but I can't help this one. It's still the polymer prints still catches my attention first. And if this one would ever take a good growth spurt and fill out, it would also be a real stunner, I think. And this one, while it is just a little scraggly thing, it has filled out. From when I brought it out, I thought it would go right ahead and die, but it has just decided, oh, this has been such a nice year with rain and cooler weather that I think I want to live. And then this little begonia, I also love this color. I guess there's something about the light and dark shades of green that I really like, but both of these are very pretty. This one doesn't get as big, but it does fill out and look beautiful. This one is big and beautiful. Got another little cloud cover come over so we can maybe get a little better picture. Oh, and a gentle breeze that feels so wonderful. And you can tell the difference between the brilliant sedum and the autumn joy. The autumn joy is just a little bit muted, still very pretty, but for me I prefer the brilliant. It just shines a little bit more to me. But they're both pretty. I wouldn't want to be without either one of them. But I do think I would like to take this autumn joy sedum out and put it in a different area and take some of this and split it apart and put it in that one where the autumn joy is, so that I'll have brilliant in both of these and they'll be a little more cohesive for me. This little hibiscus has been a little stunner this year every time it's bloomed. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.